Hi everyone, welcome to Supercomputer. So in this tutorial, we are going to work with our dynamic form front end. So basically, we can enter our all the inputs which we created earlier for dynamic forms like select, then text, all these things. We can use multi-step form data to work with our dynamic form. So in that, we have dynamic form with drop down, text, and other details also. So let's get started and let's work on this tutorial. Also, if you are new to channel, please subscribe our channel and please like the video. And if you have any question, please do comment. So first, coming back to my VS Code and open a new terminal. Here I am using a React hook form. So open a new terminal, changing the directory, cd, frontend, Ecommerce inventory, and I'm going to use a React hook form. So npm install React hook for enter. After that, let's do integration, the front end application. So let's close this for now. Close it for now. Close this also. And let's create a new component. Open front end, open SRC, then pages, create a dynamic form. So create dynamic form.js. Let's work on this. So const dynamic form. So dynamic form return for form for, let's take some parameter input. So const form name equal to use params. So using use param, you can get the values from our URLs. Let me show you what I'm gonna say. Form name. So I am saying how you can access this use param. Let me show you also. Export default dynamic form. Save this form now. Coming to our home.js file and app.js file. Here what I can do first, change this home to slash. After that I'm adding one more route. So I can say for, then I'm taking the form URL as a parameter and say for name. Remember this name must same with our this form name. So you can access the form name from the URL. After that, just adding dynamic form which I recently created. After that, save this file. And also here I need to import one more thing, which is Toastify CSS. So import React Toastify distribution React Toastify.css. Otherwise, it will not work the CSS file. And also here I'm adding pillar theme equal to pillar. Now save this file also. Back to Chrome. This param is not defined. So here import it also. Import use params from React router DOM. Save it. Back to Chrome. Refresh page. Now the default page is our home page, which is nothing, just a slash message, a slash URL. After that, let's try to add some open URL slash. Our URL is form slash gonna use for product slash product. So you can see I'm passing the URL product and it rendered in our page. So you can use this concept to pass the data from URL and render in the component. I use the product and I can enter the product here. Now using that product, I'm gonna call the API, which is get API for our dynamic form. If you see earlier we created a dynamic form get API. Example this, if I try to pass product here, enter, token is expired, try to log in again, login, copy this token, pass it here, send it, and we can get the form in JSON format from the API. So we're gonna render this form in our component. So first we need to call this API. So what I can do, back to VS Code again. In our dynamic form, first I'm gonna call the API. So what I can do, use effect, then here inside that fetch form, const fetch form. Here also use your hook which we created earlier, const status. I think it is error loading, and call API equal to use API. Import the use API, import use API also. After that, calling the API. So here make it async, then const response equal to await. Change this also, URL, HTTP localhost 8000 slash, copy the URL, slash API slash get form. Here product, remove that. Instead of that, we need to pass our this form name. So dollar form name. Now just console.log response. Save it and let's check. Back to Chrome. Can't resolve use API. It should be API handler. Save it. Press page. It is default. Okay. Back to spec console. Refresh page. If I check the dynamic form, okay, it is showing null. If I check network tab, it is calling the API, but we are not passing the token. So what I can do right now, coming to the call API method inside the use API. Here what I can do, uh, header authorization equal to local storage get item token. If the token exists, pass the token, else pass the null or blank. Save it. Back to Chrome. Refresh page. And now if I see, I can actually getting the API trigger. If I check console in the dynamic form, we can get actually the message, data, config, and everything. So what I can do here, dynamic form. Let's So here are two types of rendering the form. One way we can simply render all the fields in a single page. So we are using multi-step forms concept because the goal is to make project look very smart, look very good, and make a user friendly. That's why I use this concept. Even I can try to show a simple form in a single page, but I don't want to do this. I'm going to do in a multi-step form. Use state. So first I am getting const form config, set form config, use state, null. After that, here after the API response received, we can simply set form config response to data. Now save this form. Back to Chrome. Use state is not defined. So here import use state also. Save it. Press page. It is working for now. After that, let's create one more state. Const steps, set steps. So we can make it multi-step form, use state, and I have lots of states. So what I can do, like I'm going to first using component, and here I am taking the component name. So what I can do right now, create one more directory inside the SRC components. Here adding step text components .js. Here simply return const step text component return uh, just change it to simple message h2 step text component. I'm just using placeholder for now, the text message. Export this also for default step text component. Here import it. So import step text component from text component. Change pass it here step text component. Then adding label. Label is actually the form step name. So what I'm going to do, basic details. Then I have field type, which is text. Or for basic details, I'm using select. But copy the same thing multiple times because we have all the different types of input like text, select, checkbox, radio, text area, JSON, and file. So first one is select. Second, I'm going to use checkbox, or you can say like a checklist. Or here I'm using checkbox. Here the component will get changed after creating multiple components. But right now I'm just using a placeholder component, step text component. Then we have text. So what I can do, general information, make it text. After that, again I'm changing it to change this to detailed information, change this to text area, and here using additional details for input type JSON, and one more component I have to create, which is for documents and files for file type input of file. After that, save this form and coming to our next step. Here change this to first return, creating a container. Here when I using container, it must be import from our material, MI material, MUI material. You need to take care of this. Sometimes it is imported, sometimes it is not imported. If it is not imported, you have to import manually. Then after that, what I can do, adding a typography, then adding the form name. So add our form name is like form name dot uppercase to uppercase. In this typography also, variant equal to h6, h6, then gutter button. After that, adding divider. Now after that, I'm gonna use stepper. So multi-step form you can say stepper. Active step equal active step equal to current step alternative level on, then stepper of off or close this stepper. After that, let's get a state for this current step. So here current step equal to 0. Inside that, I'm gonna render my steps. So steps dot map step index. Here, let's close this thing. Steps index, and here step equal to index step label equal to step dot label. That is also okay. And here it is showing some error. Let me check map. Uh, I think one more packet is missing. Now after that, save this file and let's check it's gonna work or not. So back to Chrome, this page, and here we see again I say sometimes it is not importing the actual. So what I can do, import stepper, step level, and step, all these things from MUI material, save it, back to Chrome, refresh page, and here we go. We can simply see the basic details, checklist, general information, detail information, additional address, and documents and files. Also adding some divider, padding and margin. So here axis equal to margin top 10 pixel, margin bottom 10 pixel, it make it 15 pixel, I think 10 pixel here, 10 here. Save it. Now I think it is looking much better. So we can see the all steps. After that, add one more divider just below this. So here adding a divider, adding same styles and these things. Copy it, paste it here. After that, so adding a title also, typography, like for current, you can say current active page. I'm gonna show the title variant H5 or H6, gutter bottom, then steps, current steps dot label, save it, back to Chrome, and here you can see the basic details is showing. Margin top, margin bottom, it's margin top. Now it is okay. After that, if you see the active page will show here. Now after that, what I can do, I have to do some changes, or like on clicking each step, on clicking the each step, I want to navigate to that section. So what I can do, on click equal to go to step, passing the index. Let's create a method. So copy const go to step index, and here for now just adding set current step index. Save it, back to Chrome, save it, back to Chrome, press page. If I click this checklist, you can see this is active now. General information also active. If I come to detail information, this is also active. Additional details also active. Document and files also active. So it is working right now, but we didn't enter the form. After that, I'm doing one more thing changes, adding a button like previous or next. So back to VS Code again. After that, here I will add a comment section for form. Leave that for now. I'm just adding button right now. For this, I'm adding current step greater than 0. Then in that case, I am showing a button, button, button variant equal to content color primary. On click, go to step -1. That is okay for the button of back button, or you can say back button. This button is like current step is greater than 0. So we can show a back button. And if we click on the back button, we can say current step -1. That is okay right now. Then I have to get one more button. Current step greater than steps dot length -1. Then in that case, I am gonna show a button variant again, content color primary, and on click equal to go to step, current step, current step +1. If this is not the case, then in that case I will show submit button. So you can see button very content primary and submit. Also add type equal to submit. So next button will show until we didn't reach to the last item. So once we reach the last item, we can show a submit button. Otherwise, we can simply show a next button. So save it for now. Back to Chrome. Okay, to import button also. So import button from MUI material. Save it. Back to Chrome. Press page. Press page. I think I didn't set the button text. Back. Next. Submit. Save it. Press page. If I click on next, I can see the checklist page. If I click on next, general information, detail information, additional details. If I click again, documents and files. And now here the button changed to submit. If I click on back, again it is showing next. If I visit to the last page of the multi-step form, I can see the submit button. Right now the button is getting collapsed, like it is too much compressed to each other. So what I can do to make it look little bit spaces. So first back to VS Code again. Here, then adding a box empty equal to 2. Close the box. After that, here adding display equal to flex display equal to flex. Then we need to add one more thing, justify content, justify content equal to space between. Save it, back to Chrome. Okay, import box also. So here just adding button, then box. Save it, refresh page, next, and you can see back is showing here and next is showing here. Click on next, general information, detail information, additional details, then submit. Let's add some icons also in button. So what I can do here in the back arrow, back in next, I'm adding arrow, arrow output. I think let's check, save it, refresh page. Okay, it is showing different button. Back is okay, but next is showing different. So I try to use arrow back iOS, arrow next, or try to use arrow for, okay, I think arrow right or arrow forward iOS. Save it. Let's try to check the material icons. So MUI icons, searching the icon, arrow. I'm going to use this back icon for iOS. Just copy this one name and let's import it. So copy it. Next, I have to use forward icon. Copy it also. Paste it. Copy it. And here in the next, paste it. Save it. Back to Chrome. Refresh page. If I see next, I can see the icon. Let's try to move this icon in the end for next. Save it. Now refresh page. Next, next, next. That is also okay. Next, add a button for submit, icon for submit. For searching submit, save. I think save is save. Let's copy this icon. Hit. Save icon. Save it. If I check again, you can see a submit button or save icon. You can also change the size. Like here, if you see, text is little bit large, but icon is getting, like text is small, but icon is large. So I can say there is one option, I think. Let me check. If you try to use SX font size ultra SP or pixel, save it. You can see now it's getting a little bit small, and also adding the margin left or margin right. I think. Give it, make it 5 pixel, save it. Now I think it looks much better than previous one. Similarly, doing for others also. Just copy it, 8, paste it also here, margin right. I think here for margin left, we are going to use margin right. Save it, refresh page. Next, you can see the icon looks much better than previous one, and submit. All thing has been done. Now we have to actually work with our form and enter the form. So for that, again back to VS Code, and now here we have to work with our form. So what I can do first, adding a form provider. Let's import the form provider. Import form provider for React hook form. Then we need to create a one more object. So const methods equal to use form. So use form is from the React hook form. Import use form React hook form. After that, in provider we need to pass the methods. So simply pass it methods. After that we need to add form on submit methods dot render submit on submit. Let's create this method on submit. So const on submit data console.log data. Here after submitting the form, we can actually passing the data to React form hook, and we can get the data from React hook form. After that, here we're gonna render this form fields. Here first adding form on config and form config. Then create one more constant. So const step component equal to steps current step dot component. So here form config step component, then form config equal to form config. We can simply show the step component with form config. So that we can show simply loading message. Or instead of loading, let's show a progress bar, linear progress bar. So save it, back to Chrome, refresh page. If you see this line dynamically render our component which is exactly coming from this component. If I click next, it is showing still the same message. So if I try to use different types of component, so let's try to use all the different types of components for each components. So here I'm using step select components. Create this file also. Then for that general information, step text, step select, step which components, copy it, create a new file, JS. Then for detail information, it is TextArea. So the TextArea component. Let's get this file also. Then for JSON, step JSON components, copy it, create a new file. Then I have last one, which is step file component. Let's copy it, create a new file. Now after that, let's simply add a simple message for each component. So text area components, switch, step, switch, change this name also, step, switch components, switch components, text area, step, text area components, save it, switch components, select, copy it, step, select components, step JSON, just copy this same also, step JSON components, copy it, paste it, then for file, copy it, JSON components, save it, select, for file, step, file components, step, file component, save it, and in the dynamic form, just import all these missing component. So import select, step select, switch watch, text area, JSON components, then we have file components, all components which are using it's imported. Save it now, back to Chrome, this page. So first is basic details. For the select, you can see select component. If I click next, for checkbox I use switch component. For general information I use text component. For detailed information I use text area. For additional details I use JSON. For documents and files I use file component. I'm going to render all these fields. So what I can do right now is coming for the one component which is select. Let's work on this first. So here just simply remove all these things, and we're actually getting some data. Let me show you. If I come to the dynamic form, here actually I'm getting form config and field type. So form config, field type. So that what I can do, I first come here, const register equal to use form context, then const select fields equal to form config dot data dot select. So in the form config, this is the complete API response. If you see this response, this complete response comes under the form config. So you want only form config dot data dot select only. That's why I use form config dot data dot select. After that, what I can do, and for creating a box, then adding select fields dot map field comma index. After that, here simply render it. So form control full width. Let's first close this form control, and here adding full width, full width. Also here I think I missed something. It must be two bracket. I missed a bracket. Full width. After that, adding some margin equal to normal. Then and here we have to add field dot name. So it must be unique. After that, adding input label. Then here passing the label name, which is field. Let me show you. field inside the select field dot label. So field dot label. After that, we need to render our select. So select, close it, and simply add the options. First, passing register. So register is nothing. It is just used for React hook form. Let's import this use form. Use use form context from React hook form. The reason for using React hook form to make our form work easier. Like for working with React hook form, we don't need to work with states of form for all these things. These all things can manage by our React hook form. That's why I use the React hook form. After adding register, we need to add field dot name. Then for required, we need to add required and pass field dot required. So we can simply pass the register field name, and required is just based on the required field dot required. If you see the JSON data, it has required true or false. So we can just pass true or false based on the required data. After that, the first data, we need to pass default value equal to field dot, let me show you the default value, which is here default. So field dot default, then label equal to field dot label. Now we need to add the options. So field dot options. So see this field dot options, which is LOV, list of values, dot map option comma index. Then here just add the options. So menu item p equal to index value equal to option dot value. Option dot id is for value, and option dot uh, id is for id, and value is for value. So here value. Here also in key option dot id. So key value and option dot value. The menu item get closed. After that, save this code back to VS, but save this code back to Chrome, and here we need to import all these things. So import box form control input level select menu item from MUI material. Okay, save it back to Chrome. Input level already declared. Okay, remove this line because I am using it 2 times. So remove this first one, save it, refresh page. Now we can see the inputs active and inactive and category ID. Also do one more thing. Here I see these are getting too much closely attached. So what I can do right now, here again I think I do some mistakes. It's margin, not margin. Refresh page, and you can see basic details get rendered. First one is status, active and inactive, which is coming from LOV. So our drop down is done. Now next we need to work with our checklist. So again, work with switch component. Back to VS Code again. Back to switch component. So here just copy the same things. First copy all these things, paste it here, change it to step, switch components, port it, and here we're gonna use checkbox only. So checkbox. After that, here checkbox fields, checkbox fields, and after that, from control is also okay, margin also okay. Here we don't need this all thing. We're gonna change all this thing. Here we need form control label. Then control equal to, let's close this for now. And here in control we need to pass the actual component which is going to render. So using switch component, switch, then same way register field name required default value field.default label equal to field.label. Save it, close this switch component, save it, back to Chrome, refresh page. Let's check it again. I think still it is not showing. Let me check. Okay, there is no checkbox. That's why it is not showing anything. So here if I check, there is no checkbox. That's why it is not returning anything. So for checking this checkbox condition, I can do what? Coming to my code, and in the backend code, I am do one more thing. In the helper method, here for dynamic models, I'm gonna add one more model, which is for like suppliers. We can say supplier, and for supplier, I'm using user services dot users. Let me check the model name. Am I correct or not? Users, it is correct. Users, it is correct. Save it. Try to open this in our here instead of product. Use supplier. So right now, if you use supplier, I can see the country, account status, and everything. If I go next, I can see the switch button, but there is no text showing. So let me fix that also. Back to VS Code, switch component, and inside the switch component, I am to what? I am just check what is the issue. So I think here we need to add a label inside the label, inside this, like inside, or we can say outside control label equal to field.label. Save it, and here I think we don't need this. Save it, back to Chrome, press page. I think you can see if super user is showing, staff showing, is active showing. I can see the checkbox list as a switch. After that, we need to work with our text inputs. So back to VS Code again, copy this code again, paste it here, change this to step text components and step text component. After that, change this to text. Let me check again. I think it is text, and text fields. Render it here. Let's work with text field also. So here, this time again, just change this logic. So form control is also there. It is okay. Just remove this thing. We're gonna change this thing. We need to use text field, text field. Then I'm passing full width, then passing margin, normal. Then I am using key equal to, I think key is already there in top. I think we can merge these two things in one. So simply remove this thing, and we can use simple text field text field, text field. Let's close this for now. And here I'm just passing all the options: full width, then we have margin, normal, then we have key, field name, then we have label, field.label, then register, field name and required, also adding default value, field.default, also adding placeholder, field.placeholder. Save it, back to Chrome, refresh page, and if I check general information, I can see the all inputs. It is working perfect. After that, we need to work with detail information for text area. Just copy this whole code, paste in text area, change it to text area components, text area, and here I am using rows equal to 4 and adding multi-line only. Save it and here change to text area, text area fields. Copy it, copy it, paste it, save it, back to Chrome, refresh page, come into detail information. I can see address and profile pic. Profile pic is actually a file input, but it is showing here. We will fix that later. Next, we need to work with additional details, which is actually a JSON data. So back to VS Code again. Work with our step JSON component. So before that, let's first fix this step file component because the JSON will take time. So first, let's complete this uh, file component. Paste it. Step file components. Copy it. Paste it. And after that, we need to add text.data.file file fields. Change this also here. Next, we need to enter all the file fields. So here simply first adding label, field.label, and here we need to use empty fragment. And we want to change this thing by a simple input type equal to file and register name and required. That's it. Now save it, back to Chrome, refresh page, check the documents. There is no file for this. If I try to use product, documents and details, you can see it's showing the image as a file input, but it is not looking much better. So let's try to enhance the CSS code for file input. If I see this file input, let's add a D, last name, world, or I can use some other things. Box, box, component, equal to D, last name, file input, and come to our app.js file. Let's create my own CSS file. So in SRC, create a folder, style. I think it is already JS style. Let's create only file, style dot CSS. Let's import it here. Import, import style.css. Save it. Let's work with this component. Folder, 1 pixel, solid. Save it, back to Chrome, refresh page, add some padding, 10 pixel, save it, this page. It is again looking good. Let's make this label little bit right side. So here instead of using this here, let's cut this code. Actually, I want to use theme styling. If I use the gray color, I can't match with theme. So what I can do in our layout file, global style, here I'm gonna use this thing. File input, and here I'm just using my try to use this paper color. Let's try to use this main color for over here. Change this to main. Label, margin, right, 10 pixel, save it. Let's check this page, document file. Now it looks better, which is matching to the theme exactly. You can see it is looking much more better than previous one. Now after that, let's work with additional details and render our JSON components, which has key value pair inputs with adding options and deleting options. So what I can do, coming to the JSON component, first just copy all these things, JSON components, paste it, remove these things, step, JSON components, copy it, paste it. After that, in the box, let's render our JSON component. So what I can do first, I am simply adding here JSON fields dot JSON, and here JSON fields dot map field index. So that here and here inside that JSON input component dot JSON const JSON input component return JSON input component, and here taking just fields, take all the fields here and here fields dot name put default JSON input components here JSON JSON input components fields equal to field name equal to field dot name. Let's save this for now. Back to Chrome, press page, additional details, check with I think product has some JSON data, but it is not showing. I think refresh additional details. Let me check again here. Console.log JSON field, save it, in console. this page. Okay, here component must be rendered in the capitalized case, which I have done some wrong thing. Input, yes, an input component. Then change it to here. Input, yes, an input. Save it. Back to Chrome. Replace page. Now here I can get all the input component. Let's render all this as a additional details. So what I can do to VS Code again. Okay, there is no error. After that, let's work on this rendering the component. So what I can do here, I can just first get const register equal to use from context import use from context uh, yet import use from context. Then we need to import other thing also, but now let's okay. Register is there. Let's simply render or key value pair. So what I can do, const key value pairs, key value pairs, 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 comma set key value pairs, use state default. I'm adding object key value. This must be array with I get a one key value pair with default array with one object key and value. So that save it, save it, and next we're gonna render our key value pairs. So first I'm gonna add a box, then import box also, import box and text field. Okay, then in box adding label field dot label, adding a line break or adding a divider, that is better. And below that I'm gonna render our key value pairs. So key value pairs dot map here index, inside that adding a box again, box equal to index, display equal to flex, align item centers, margin bottom to close this box. Here it should be box. Close it, close it. After that, we need to render our inputs and other things. So text field, full width, normal, register field name, index key, default value, that is also okay. In register, you can simply add If fields dot name dot index perfect, that is also okay. So both are okay for now. After that, adding one more button for deleting the our options on click. Icon button, delete, delete, delete icon, and here variant equal to outline, color equal to secondary. On click, handle key value, handle key value, remove index. Let's create this method. Const index. So on clicking, we can remove the items from this key value pairs. Let's leave for now. After that, below that, simply add a uh, just below this map rendering, add a button variant outline color primary. On click, handle handle key value pair, add. Just copy this and create one more function. And also here adding an icon. So plus uh, add icon, add plus. Let me check again what is exactly the icon. So I think I use in layout file. Add circle outline. Just use this. Add icon. Try to search. Add this one icon. Add icon. I think that is just copy it, paste it, add icon. Now after that, save it. Let's check how it's gonna look for this page. Okay, use state is not everything. So import use use state from React. Save it. Then we need to use icon button. Import icon button and button. Save it. Press page. Into a destinators. Now we can see our all the key value pair. If I click on add, nothing is happening. So I'm gonna work on that also. Let's add some margin. Right now it is getting touch with each other. Here we have diagonal also. So what I can do, add divider also in top. Be equal to 2. Save it. This page. Come into additional text. Additional text highlights. Text equal to margin. bottom 10 pixel, save it. Margin top 10 pixels, save it. That is okay now. After that, on the ending part, just add a divider equal to margin bottom 10 pixel. Save it. Press page. Additional address. Uh, additional address 10 pixel. Divider is there. It is touching with plus icon. Add also margin top. Save it. Now it looks much better. Let's work on this add and delete feature. So what I can do in the add, let me show you. In handle add, set key value pairs, then key value pair with blank value. And in the remove, simply const new pairs equal to key value pairs dot filter underscore I not equal to index. So using this concept, I can remove the current item from the key value pairs and set a new key value pairs. Save it. Back to Chrome. Press page. Back to my additional details. Click on add. You can see it's showing add key value pair. Also here, if I click on delete, it's working fine. If I click on delete also here, that is also gonna work. So in that way, you can create a JSON input, multiple key value pairs data input. Now after that, we're gonna check. We're gonna see one more thing. If I come to checklist, there is no checklist option, but it is showing a blank page. So I want to skip this page. So how I can do this? Just follow me. Dynamic form. Here we need to skip that field which is already there. So what I can do, after receiving the response, I can simply filter the item. So let step filter equal to step filter steps dot filter step to field type. Here step response dot data dot step dot field type and response dot data dot it should be response dot data step field type if it is exist, and if their item field type item is length greater than 0, then it will allow in our filter data, otherwise it will not allow in our filter data. Next we want to set steps step filter. Save it. Back to Chrome. This page. Now you can see our checklist has been gone. It is not showing because it doesn't have any field for adding. If I try to supplier, if I try with supplier, uh, still checkbox is not showing. If I check supplier, in supplier has checkbox. Yes, but it is not showing here. And it is not showing in our front end. Dot fill type dot greater than 0. Okay, here is checkbox. Checkbox. Create this. Save it. Back to Chrome. Press page. Now checklist showing for supplier. If I try the product, it is not showing. That is working fine. Now we're gonna see what is value coming when we click on submit. So if I check the submit data, let's open Chrome, inspect, console, clear it, try to fill this data. Submit is not happening, I think. Let me check back to Chrome. Home provider methods on submit method dot handle submit. That is also okay. Okay, the form is the button is actually outside. See the button. The submit button is actually outside the form. That's why it is not real. So what I can do right now, I'm gonna put this code, paste it outside the box, save it, back to home. I try to save again, and here we go. We can get all these values which we are submitting. Additional this as the key, and we can get in the highlights also in JSON data, the image also, the SEO keywords, the specification. So we can get all this data. So after that, in next tutorial, we will submit this all data in our post API. So in that way, you can get a dynamic form with multi-step form, you can say, using different types of inputs. So I hope you like the video. Thanks for watching. Please like our video and please subscribe our channel. And if you have any question, please do comment.